Hi everyone. So today we're discussing in the writing task 2. We'll be looking at the different question types. Then we'll be solving some questions with a sample answer. So the first question type is, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the statement? First we have the introduction paragraph. Then we have the reason why you agree or disagree. Then we have another reason why you agree or disagree. Then comes the concession paragraph. The reason why you don't agree or disagree. And then comes the conclusion paragraph. Then we have discuss both views and give your own opinion. First, we have the introduction paragraph, first view, and then you have to give the other view, and then you have to give your opinion, and then comes the conclusion paragraph. Why is it so? Give reasons for this and solutions. First, we have the introduction paragraph, reason why it is so, reasons for this, solutions for this, and then comes the conclusion paragraph. Do the disadvantages of international tourism outweigh the advantages? First comes the introduction paragraph, then comes the advantages, disadvantages, and then comes the conclusion paragraph. In this question type, you have to write more advantages or you'll have to write more disadvantages. Why is it so? What effect does it have on the individual and the society? Introduction. Why this is so? Effect on individual, effect on society, and then comes the conclusion paragraph. So now we'll be looking at the questions and marking all the important ideas, all the important reasons, and all the important examples. Writing task 2, we should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Some people work for the same organization all their working life. Others think that it is better to work for different organizations. Discuss both these views and give your opinion. Give reasons for the answer and include any relevant examples from your knowledge or experience. For most people, when they get their first job, they have little idea whether or not they will remain in the same organization throughout their working life. If they decide to change, they need to consider how this will impact on their career overall. People who stay with the same organization have the advantage of thoroughly understanding how it works and also become familiar with the staff and processes. If they work hard, their promotion prospects are good and there is likely to be greater job security. With the promise of a good pension when they retire, employers value loyalty and may offer additional incentives to long term employees, including bonuses and reward schemes. However, drawbacks of staying with the same organization is that the person may get stuck doing the same job year after year. In some cases, this can lead to boredom and disillusionment. Moving from one organization to another can be a strategic decision in order to have variety and acquire a range of skills and experience. A friend of my father, as a sociology teacher, he then joined the social services and is currently managing a care home in Western Australia. This has made him incredibly knowledgeable in a range of related fields and in my view has provided him with a much more interesting working life. Although there are benefits to working for one organization, I feel that it is also valuable for an employer to be able to offer a wide range of experience having worked for different companies. As long as it is planned carefully, I feel that change is good and will ultimately benefit the employee and the employer. One of the consequences of improved medical care is that people are living long, life expectancy is increasing. Do you think the advantages of this development outweigh the disadvantages? Over the past 50 years, people have become used to the idea that they will probably live longer than their grandparents did. However, a long life is only desirable if you can look after yourself and be independent. Otherwise, there can be disadvantages for everyone. If you walk into a hospital in my country, you're likely to see a lot more elderly people than you did in the past. In fact, this is causing significant problems as there is shortage of beds. Medical treatment is keeping the elderly alive, but at what cost to others? On top of this, one of the biggest medical problems these days is dementia. Even if old people are still fit, they may not be able to look after themselves. They may have to live with their children or be cared for in a home, which can be expensive. Elderly people do not like to be a burden, but the children can be obliged to take care of them. Obviously, not all old people become ill. Those who remain healthy can enjoy a happy old age as long as they have saved enough money. People are much more active in their 60s and 70s than they used to be, and this can only be a good thing. They have time to enjoy their retirement and do a range of activities that they could not do when they were at work. They can also help look after their grandchildren, which is a great benefit for working parents. To sum up, I believe that we should aim to keep people as healthy as possible so that they can enjoy their old age without having to rely on others. A longer life expectancy is obviously advantageous, but no one wants to live to be 100 if they only cause problems for their family and society. Car ownership has increased so rapidly over the past 30 years that many cities in the world are now one big traffic jam. How true do you think this statement is? What measures can government take to discourage people from using their cars? Most people would agree that car ownership has increased in recent years and is causing a range of problems, particularly in built up areas. I think there are a number of ways that government can aim to deal with this. Many big cities in the world have traffic problems, but these problems vary. For example, it is reasonably easy to drive around my city after 10 a.m. and before 5 p.m. However, outside these hours, you have to allow double the initial time to reach your destination. In some other cities, traffic is congested at all times, and there is a continual sound of car horns as people try to get wherever they want to go. One of the best approaches government can take in busy cities is to encourage the use of public transport. This means the transport facilities have to be well run and people must be able to afford them. Buses, trams, and trains are good ways of getting around, and if they are cheap and reliable, people will use them. Another approach is to discourage people from actually entering the city by building car parks and shopping centers on the outskirts. Many cities around the world do this quite successfully and offer passengers bus transport into the center if they need it. At peak travel periods, government can also run campaigns to encourage people to be less dependent on their cars. Apparently, a lot of car trips involve very short journey to, say, the supermarket or local school. These are often unnecessary, but we automatically get in our cars without thinking. Clearly, we all have a responsibility to look after our cities. Governments can do a lot to improve the situation, and part of what they do should involve encouraging individuals to consider alternatives to driving. In some countries, an increasing number of people are suffering from health problems as a result of eating too much fast food. It is therefore necessary for government to impose a higher tax on this kind of food. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this opinion? The growth of the fast food industry has without doubt impacted on the eating habits and health of many societies around the world. Diabetes, high cholesterol, heart and respiratory problems are all on the rise due to fatty and sugar-rich food. However, the question is whether higher tax would improve this situation or not. From an economic point of view, higher tax might seem sensible. In countries such as the USA, Australia, and Britain, the healthcare system spends a large part of its budget on people with diet related health problems. It could be argued that these people have caused their own illness because of their choice of food. In this case, why should they expect the state to pay for their treatment? The tax could help fund the healthcare system. However, we also need to consider which socioeconomic group consumes fast food as the main part of their diet. Statistics indicate that lower income groups eat more of this food than wealthier people. One possible reason for this is that fast food is far cheaper than fresh produce. This is because many governments offer large subsidies to farmers who provide products for the fast food industry, which is corn, wheat, and beef. Fruits and vegetables, on the other hand, are not subsidized. Research suggests that many families cannot afford to buy healthy food or pay higher taxes on fast food. For them, fast food is not a choice but a necessity. In conclusion, imposing higher tax on fast food does not seem to be the answer. If the government chooses to do this, it will only lead to greater poverty and families facing further hardship. Nowadays, technology is increasingly being used to monitor what people are saying and doing. For example, through cell phone tracking and security cameras, in many cases, people being monitored are unaware that this is happening. Do you think the advantages of this development outweigh the disadvantages? In recent years, advances in technology have allowed governments, the police, and privately owned companies to keep the public under constant surveillance. In major cities and towns, security cameras are recording the movements of ordinary citizens. Whenever a cell phone is used, the call is lodged. So the service provider knows exactly when and where the user made the call. Invisible satellites orbit Earth, watching us whether we like it or not. Is this, however, a development we should welcome? Certainly, there are benefits. In areas where there is a high crime rate, the use of security cameras as a deterrent to criminals. If they can see a camera, they may think twice about breaking into a building or stealing a car. If a crime is carried out, then a camera will provide useful evidence. The same is true for a cell phone. The police sometimes rely on call logs to help them trace the whereabouts of suspects or victims. On the other hand, there are a number of concerns. In countries where human rights are ignored, the use of security cameras or listening devices may be harmful to society. People should be able to hold meetings and express their opinions without their privacy being invaded. There is also a very different issue we should consider. Nowadays, many people upload personal information and photographs, social networking sites. They often do not realize how easy it is for other people to view this information or for the site owners to use the data or photographs for their own financial gain. It seems inevitable that there will be more and more ways to monitor society in the future. However, it is our responsibility to evaluate new technology and decide whether it will do more harm than good. Surely, our freedom is more valuable than technological progress. In the past, when students did a university degree, they tended to study in their own country. Nowadays, they have more opportunity to study abroad. What are the advantages and disadvantages of this development? You should use your own ideas, knowledge, and experience and support your arguments with example and relevant evidence. The pursuit of knowledge is a concept that is valued by most cultures. In the 21st century, we now have many more options regarding how and where to find that knowledge. If you are a French national, you can apply to do an economics degree in the USA, and likewise, an American citizen can take a course in linguistics in class. Indeed, most universities across the world now have a good proportion of foreign students enrolled in their programs. Certainly, there are numerous advantages of studying in a different country. Many students choose to do this because they know that a particular university, for example, Stanford Business School, has a greater reputation. Graduating from here, will increase the chances of securing a decent position in a company back home. Students studying abroad also have the opportunity to form friendships with people of various nationalities. In time, these may develop into useful professional networks. Furthermore, living far from family and friends can enable young people to become more independent and self sufficient. Unfortunately, the experience of study abroad is not always a positive one. Research suggests that small percentage of young people struggle to adapt to that new environment and suffer from severe cultural shock. The situation can become worse if the student is not mature enough to cope by themselves. Different approaches to teaching and learning may also come as an unwelcome surprise to some students. In essence, the key to good experience at the foreign university is an open mind. If a student is presented with this opportunity, they should certainly seize it. The continued rise of the world population is the greatest problem faced by humanity at present time. What are the causes of this continued rise? Do you agree that it is the greatest problem faced by humanity? In the media, in politics, and in academia, the impact of massive rise in the total global population is arguably one of the most sensitive, debated topics among all the potential threats to humanity that are currently under discussion. The current essay discusses some of the positive causes of this rise, as well as asks the question of whether, in fact, an increase in the global population should be considered as a serious problem when compared to other potential threats to our existence. That there is a global rise in the general human population is in no doubt. China now has a population of over 1 billion inhabitants, despite the best efforts of their government to control this rise through their one child policy. While India now has a total number of people approaching the billion mark, the birth rate in the developing world continues to rise as families from certain countries lack access to birth control for financial, political, or religious reasons. Having a large family offers a degree of security against the impact of disease or accidents that may befall certain members of that family. However, when discussing the seriousness of this problem compared to other pressing issues, one may find that the important increase in population is not universal across all societies and cultures. For example, it is often reported that in far eastern countries, Korea and Japan, the birth rate of the indigenous population has dropped sharply over the last few decades, and accordingly, those working in higher education worry that as the numbers of potential students looks set to drop in the coming years, some institutes may well have to close. Other European countries such as UK or Sweden are seeing a fall in the birth rates of the native population, while this has been balanced by an increase in the immigrant population. Thus, while in some contexts population growth may appear unsustainable, in other contexts governments are actively pushing for their populations to increase. With the above factors in mind, as long as improvements in resource management and food technology are made, it may be possible to support an increase in the population of those in the developing world. At the same time, if developing nations can begin to reach economic parity with the developed world, one might see the increase in the global population eventually become curtailed. Some people get into debt by buying things they don't need and can't afford. What are the reasons for this behavior? What action can be taken to prevent people from having this problem? Nowadays, we are living in a society based on consuming. As a result, some people have problems in daily and they get into debt by buying things they don't need and can't afford. This kind of behavior is encountered quite often in our present days, mainly because of the possibility of buying goods in leasing. Hence, people buy most of the goods using their credit card without having clear idea on how much money they possess or they owe. Also, another cause for this behavior would be psychological. The advertisement, subliminal messages, on encounters in a regular day in a big city has an enormous impact on one's brain. The main problem is lack of awareness of the serious effects that advertisement can have on people. In order to prevent people from adopting this dangerous behavior, measures should be taken so as to raise awareness among people. Also, one must learn how to manage his budget in order to get a balance between necessity and pleasure. Keeping a record on income and monthly spendings would be very helpful and would give to the consumer an overall image on how his budget should be spent. All summed up, the chances of becoming a victim of the consumer society are high nowadays due to the surrounding temptation, but this problem could be easily avoided by being aware of these dangers and having a rational attitude when dealing with money. So now we'll be discussing the answer. So the first question is, some people work for the same organization all their working life. Understand that it's better to work with different organizations. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. So this is your first question. So here you can say first here they have clearly rephrased the question and outlined the ideas. Then they have mentioned about the advantages of working in the same organization. So here they clearly mention all the different reasons. First is the promotion prospect, then comes the greater job security, employees value the loyalty, offer additional incentives, bonuses, and reward schemes. So here they've clearly mentioned about all the advantages of staying with the same organization. Next paragraph, he clearly mentioned about the drawbacks of staying with the same organization. First is boredom, disillusionment, lacking the range of skills and experience. So here they have clearly mentioned an example also that a friend of my father started out as a sociology teacher. Then he joined the social services and is currently managing a care home in Western Australia. This has made him incredibly knowledgeable in a range of related fields and in my view has provided him with a much more interesting working life. And in the conclusion paragraph, as long as it is planned carefully, I feel that change is good and will ultimately benefit the employee and the employer. So here you can see they had asked us to discuss both reviews and give your own opinion. So first paragraph they clearly mentioned all the advantages, even all the different reasons. Second paragraph they have mentioned the drawback. They have also given us an example, and at the end they have restated the opinion. I will be looking at the next question. One of the consequences of improved medical care is that people are living longer and life expectancy is increasing. Do you think advantages of this development outweigh the disadvantages? So here they clearly rephrase the question and outline the different ideas, and then they have clearly mentioned about the significant problems. One is the shortage of beds. Next comes the biggest medical problem these days in dementia. Care home is expensive. So here they've clearly mentioned all the different problems, and then they are clearly mentioning the advantages. First is, if you have saved enough money, have time to enjoy the retirement and do a range of activities, they can look after their grandchildren. First, they have mentioned all the disadvantages, then they have mentioned all the advantages, and at the end, they have clearly restated their opinion. Longer life expectancy is obviously advantageous. No one wants to live to be 100 if they only cause problems for the family and society. So here they clearly restated their opinion. Car ownership has increased so rapidly over the past 30 years that many cities in the world are now one big traffic jam. How true do you think this statement is? What measures can government take to discourage people from using their cars? So here you can see they have rephrased the question. Then they have mentioned all the different problems and they also clearly mentioned an example. And then they have mentioned about the different approaches the government can take. For example, increasing the use of public transport. People must be able to afford them. Public transport should be cheap and reliable. Another approach is to build the car parks and shopping centers on the outskirts. Here they've clearly mentioned all the different problems. Then they've clearly mentioned about the approaches the government can take. And at the end, they've clearly mentioned that we all are having a responsibility to look after our cities. Governments can do a lot to improve the situation. And part of what they do should involve encouraging the individuals to consider alternatives to driving. In some countries, an increasing number of people are suffering from health problems as a result of eating too much fast food. It is therefore necessary for governments to impose a higher tax on this kind of food. To what extent do you agree or disagree with the opinion? Here they've clearly rephrased the question and they've outlined the different ideas. And here you can see they have clearly mentioned about all the different problems. First is healthcare system is spending a large part of its budget diet related health problems. have caused their own illness because of their source of food. The tax could help fund the healthcare system. So here they're clearly agreeing with what they're telling. And then you can see here statistics indicate that lower income groups eat more of this food than wealthier people because the fast food is far cheaper and the government is offering large subsidies to farmers who provide products for the fast food industry. The research reveals that many families simply cannot afford to buy healthy food or pay higher taxes on fast food. So the fast food is not a choice but a necessity. Here they have clearly agreed, and here you can see in this paragraph they have clearly disagreed, mentioned all the different reasons, and in the conclusion paragraph they are restating the opinion saying that imposing higher tax on fast food does not seem to be the answer. If the government chose to do this, it would only lead to greater poverty and families facing further hardship. Nowadays, technology is increasingly being used to monitor what people are saying and doing. For example, through cell phone tracking and security cameras. In many cases, the people they monitor are unaware that this is happening. Do you think the advantage of this development outweigh the disadvantages? So here they've clearly rephrased the question and they have outlined the ideas. And here they've clearly mentioned about the different benefits. Cameras may act as a deterrent to criminals. Emitting twice about breaking into a building or stealing a car can be used as evidence. Call logs will help them to trace the whereabouts of suspects or victims. So here they clearly mentioned about all the advantages. And here you can see, on the other hand, they happen to society because the privacy is being invaded. Many people are uploading the personal information, photographs onto the social networking sites, like honest for their own financial gain. So here you can see they've clearly mentioned about all the disadvantages and they've given us all the different reasons. And at the end, you can see here it seems inevitable that there will be more and more ways to monitor society in the future. However, it is our responsibility to evaluate new technology and decide whether it will do more harm than good. So here we can see they've clearly restated their opinion. So here you can see first they mention all the advantages, then they have mentioned all the disadvantages, and they've given us all the different reasons. And at the end, they have restated their opinion. In the past, when students did a university degree, they tended to study in their own country. Nowadays, they have more opportunity to study abroad. What are the advantages and disadvantages of this development? So here they have rephrased the question and they have outlined the ideas. And here they mention all the different advantages. First is excellent reputation, increases the chances of securing a decent position in the company, opportunity to form friendships, professional networks, young people will become more independent and self-sufficient. So here we've clearly mentioned all the advantages. The next paragraph, they're mentioning that the research is that a small percentage of young people struggle to adapt to the new environment, suffer from serious cultural shock. Different approaches to teaching and learning may also come as an unwelcome surprise to some students. So here they clearly mention all the disadvantages and in the end, they have restated their opinion. If a student is present with this opportunity, they should certainly seize it. So here they've clearly restated their opinion. A continued rise in the world population is the greatest problem faced by humanity at the present time. What are the causes of this continued rise? Do you agree that it is the greatest problem faced by humanity? So here you can see they have clearly rephrased the question and they have outlined the different ideas. And here they mention about the different causes. China now has a population of over 1 billion, despite the best efforts of the government of the one-child policy. Then they mentioned that India now has a total number of people approaching the billion mark. Lack of access to birth control due to financial, political, or religious reasons. And while in some cultures, having a large family offers a degree of security against the impact of disease or accidents. Here you can clearly see they have mentioned all the different causes and they've also mentioned the different examples. And in this paragraph, they clearly mentioned that increase in population is not universal across all societies and cultures. The far eastern countries, such as Korea and Japan, some institutes may well have to close. Other European countries, such as UK or Sweden, are seeing a fall in the birth rates of the native population, but this is being balanced by the immigrant population. And in the last paragraph, they clearly mentioned that as long as improvements in the resource management and food technology, it may be possible to support an increase in population of those in the developing world. At the same time, and here the viewers a recommendation, if the developing nations can begin to reach economic parity with the developed world, one might see the increase in the global population eventually become curtailed. So here they've clearly mentioned all the different causes. They have given us different examples and all the different reasons, and also clearly mentioned why they are disagree. And at the end, they have clearly restated their opinion, also mentioned the recommendation. Some people get into them by buying things they don't need and can't afford. What are the reasons for this behavior? What action can be taken to prevent people from having this problem? So here you can see they have clearly rephrased the question, and here you can see they have clearly mentioned about the different reasons. First one is a credit card. Then they have mentioned about the advertisement, subliminal messages. So here they've clearly mentioned all the different reasons, and here they've clearly mentioned about what action we can take or at income and the monthly spendings, having an overall image of the budget. Here they've clearly mentioned about what we can do, and the conclusion paragraph, they're restating the opinion saying that this problem would be easily avoided by being aware of these changes and having a rational attitude when dealing with money. So we've clearly discussed the sample answers. So first we have the introduction paragraph. We have to rephrase the question, give the opinion and outline the different ideas. And then comes paragraph 1. We have to introduce the first idea, explain the idea. We have to give a logical reason to support the idea. Then comes the example. And then we have the paragraph 2. We'll have to introduce the second idea. We'll have to explain the idea, give the logical reasons to support the idea. Then we have the example. And at the last, we're having the conclusion paragraph. We'll have to rephrase the opinion and we'll have to sum up the ideas. You can make a prediction or a recommendation. So this is very, very important. In the writing task 2, first comes the introduction paragraph, then we have the paragraph 1, then we have the paragraph 2, and at the end we are having the conclusion paragraph. Organizing your ideas is very, very important in the writing task 2. For example, we've been looking at this question. Some people work for the same organization all their working life. Others think that it is better to work with different organizations. Discuss both these views and give your own opinion. The first paragraph will be mentioning of the job security, promotion, bonuses, and incentives. In the second paragraph, we will be mentioning of the boredom, disillusionment, example of the sociology teacher. And the conclusion paragraph will be mentioning that the change is good as it will benefit both the employer and the employee. So here you can see we have clearly organized the ideas. So we have to clearly organize these ideas. This is very, very important in the writing task too. You'll have to organize your ideas in the question paper and then only you'll have to start writing your answer in the answer sheet. So before writing your answer in the answer sheet, you must clearly know what you'll be writing in the introduction paragraph, what you'll be writing in the first paragraph, what ideas would be mentioning in the first paragraph, what ideas will be mentioning in the second paragraph, what example you'll be telling, and in the conclusion paragraph, what will be mentioned. This is very, very important. So we'll have to outline these ideas. We'll have to organize these ideas in the question paper itself, and then you can start writing your answer in the answer sheet. So if you like the video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the video. See you soon in the next video. Have a great day.